How do you lead? This is the question of the day. In the next 10 minutes, we're going to unpack and find out how you lead. This is so important for you to understand how. And I'm going to be able to tell you how it's happening, why it's happening, and what you can do about it. So hang with me, and in the next 10 minutes, I am going to tell you personally, without even knowing you, from right here in front of everyone else, how it is with 100% accuracy, I can tell you how you lead. And how am I going to do that? I'll get to that in just a moment. But first, I want us to agree on one thing. That leadership begins with you. It is an internal process. And leadership begins before you make the first hire, before you take over that role, before you develop out your business. It begins with you. It's internal. You take on ownership just by stepping into this role, by becoming the leader. You take on different responsibilities that others don't carry. And you're in fact even responsible for other people. You cast the vision. You're responsible for the profit. What's happening in the business as it's continuing to grow. You represent the company or the brand. You're on the line like never before when you take on and you assume leadership. There's so much that's encompassing in you becoming the leader. And just by assuming this role, that title alone makes the difference as you become this. And so yes, it is a heavier burden than you may have experienced before or others on your team are having to carry. And I'm not even talking about the extra hours you may put in. I'm talking about just you becoming the leader. Because once you become the leader, you are perceived differently. People see you, receive you, and process you differently just because of who you are in this role, because now you have influence and impact on other people, both internally in your company and externally how people view and perceive you. And so this is why it is so important to know how you lead. So here we go. I'm going to get ready to give you your insight on how it is that you lead. You lead by the way that you think. The way that you think is how you lead. What does that mean? Let's unpack that, because this is really powerful when this sinks in and you get this. And I want you to see that your perception of things, of the people, of everything that's going on in the business, your response, your reaction, all of this, how you feel, how you behave, how you go home at the end of the day, all of this is coming from how you think. And how you think is the sum of everything that you're doing as a leader. This is really, really powerful to understand. And so it's like you've put on a pair of glasses, and you've maybe heard that saying, like you're wearing rose-tinted glasses. That's your perception, your take on things is tinted in that way, whereas other people may not have that. There could be some who look at the world the way that you do, who have the same perception, and there's plenty of others who don't. There's so many different kinds of people, and when you bring them all together, you have different variety, viewpoints, and perspectives at work. Do you see how this could all of a sudden be a challenge? And what is happening here is each and every one of you, but right now we're going to focus on you, has this lens around you. And so here's you, you're in the center, and now everyone else has this too, but this is you. And everything, every orbit around you is your lens. And it's constantly growing, it's constantly developing. From the moment you are born, how you perceive and you take in your environment, the people, everything that is around you. So this is your family and the influences that they say and they do around you. This is your faith. This is culture. This is the society in which you are born and how you take it in. This is what you watch, what you read, what you listen to, your friends, and the changes you go through, the experiences you have, all these different things. From the moment you first go to school, what type of school you go to, how you're educated, to when you take your first job, your internships, the things that you do, how you advance or you don't. All of these things are impacting how you think. And this is you now as the leader. And here you are, and you go into life and you have this arc around you. This is your lens, so to speak, that you're seeing everything else through. And these lines represent how you're filtering out all the other people. So you have your spouse or your partner is up at the top here, and you think about them and you're like, oh, feeling good. lots of love, giving out the love. And then you have a child come along. You're like, sweet baby, you're making me so happy. And then all of a sudden you go around and you're around your team. And some people are wonderful to work with. Some people are a challenge. Some people frustrate you and annoy you. And some people you're delighted to have conversation with. Why? Because of the lens by which you receive and process other people. And then at the bottom, I put a couple of other options, is that you have people who maybe really upset you, people who push your pain points, push your buttons. And then somebody down at the bottom is like somebody you're like, what? I don't get you at all. You're totally confused and baffled having to work and engage with this type of person who sees the whole world, it seems like, completely different and in conflict with how you perceive it. Why is this? Because of your lens. You filter everything through your lens. Naturally and unconsciously, this is happening for every single human being. We all have a lens. We all have a way that we perceive and experience life around us. And it's all just been happening. We've been happening and accruing this naturally. It just happens as we go through life. And most of us, most people do not ever learn how to take control over this and learn how to process. So it's just happening. And so they are thinking with their lens and how they see things, and they just assume this is just the truth. That person is just annoying. That person is ridiculous. This person is wonderful. You can't wait to have them on your team. Then you get them on your team and you're like, what were they talking about? That's because they saw it through their lens, not through yours. You see this? So unless you become self-aware, and you take control of how you think. That's what it is. You taking control of how you think and you learning how to process your thoughts. Thinking on purpose. What you are doing and how you are receiving those around you. This is developing your leadership lens. So instead of always going in with your own personal lens, you learn how to develop a leadership lens that lets you remember that you are processing through your own perspective and that you are now going to process through this leadership lens how you want to interact and react and behave with those on your team. How you're going to show up, what kind of influence and impact you're going to have because you were thinking on purpose. This is really powerful. Because your mind is your most powerful asset. The most important resource you'll ever utilize is your mind. And yet so many people are not unpacking it. They're not using it. And yet it's the number one thing that is going to impact how you're feeling, how you're leading, how you show up, the experience you're going to have in your life. And so if you want to change how you lead, for whatever reason you have, if you just want things to feel better as a leader, how you're feeling, how you end the day, how you continue to think about work at home. If you want to change how you think about your team and how you engage with them, if you want to change how you're managing and how you're coming about your process as a leader, how you react and you respond in meetings when things come up, when things don't happen just the way that you want. Anything and everything is impacted right here, right now by what you are experiencing. If you want to experience that change, if you want something to be different, you have to become aware of how you think. That self-awareness is going to allow you to take control of your thoughts. And with this self-awareness, you can take control of your thoughts. 100% this is possible for you. And now you can start to change and achieve things in a better way. Better as far as you and how you see things as being better, and how you relate to your team can feel better. How you engage with them, all because you become self-aware. And now, yes, everyone had this, right? Everyone has this lens, but you as the leader with all that extra responsibility and ownership you take, it's on you first. This is why we agreed that leadership begins with you. It is on you first to take this and become self-aware, to process this for yourself, to maturely show up in how you are receiving and handling your thoughts. And then from that, your team can start to see that evidence and start to grow, and you can share this with them. You lead how you think. So how are you going to think about how you lead?